Okay, so I'm guessing this probably doesn't look familiar to any of you. If you watched my last video, you probably got the hint that my passion was taking me somewhere new in my life. After a few weeks of packing, preparing, and loading, then driving while attempting to keep my fiance sane, I finally said a bittersweet goodbye to Portland, Oregon, the place I grew up, the place I will always call home, and we're starting a new chapter of our lives here in Los Angeles. Apart from the stress and a few unexpected roadblocks, like our movers being over 2 weeks late with all of our stuff, the move really didn't go too bad, and I was honestly really looking forward to reclaiming my new office space and getting another chance to create something both practical and somewhere I look forward to spending hours of my day creating in. And honestly, it's not that I didn't like my previous space. I got a lot of really good feedback from you guys about my office build back in 2020 in Portland. I really did love that space. If we didn't make the decision to move, I likely would have kept it probably the same way for some time to come. But after living and working in that space for over 2 years, I realized it was a mix of not using the entire space because of the focus on decor and unorganized space in terms of professional versus personal production gear. Simply put, it just got too cluttered. After moving into this new office space, I realized that with excess gear and options just essentially laying around, it becomes overwhelming to enter the space and actually get into a creative mindset. My goal with this new space is to strip out the excess and really focus on practicality and the necessities only. So first things first, when approaching building a office space that also happens to double as a YouTube studio, positioning and orientation of your desk and the way you intend to shoot, how you want to light it is really crucial. I'm utilizing the same desk that I built previously back in my original video, this custom standing L desk, which is basically just 2 nice slabs of wood on these motorized L legs from Vivo. I fell in love with this setup, no need to replace it. While I did enjoy the setup and orientation of the desk in my old office, in some ways it did feel impractical. It sort of limited how much usable space there was in the office, especially if you had some people kind of coming in to hang out. My fiance, for instance. In many cases, she kind of dreaded sitting in the office with me because there wasn't really a comfortable position for her to sit and watch over my shoulder or be a part of the process. In this setup, I really strived to achieve a better balance of practicality with shooting videos, so having nice angles, focusing on the depth and the symmetry of the room, but also having it more usable for guests. Ideally, having another place to sit, a chair or a couch, so that my fiance or friends can actually come and enjoy the space with me. Typically, I always recommend to people looking to set up an A-roll YouTube shot to shoot into the corner of a room. What this does is allows more depth in your shot, more separation, more contrast with the way the light falls in the scene. This generally looks better. It looks more cinematic, more professional, and that's always the principle I've used to setting up my shots. But with the orientation of this room, the window, the closets, I wanted to try something a little bit different, maybe give myself some different options. We ended up landing on the desk position right about here, and I think that this creates a really fun shot with this straight on shot, not shooting into the corner, which I honestly think looks pretty damn good, but we can also play around with a few different angles depending on the type of video if necessary. When it came to lighting in this space, I really wanted to strip things back a little bit. Of course, I have lots of the professional equipment, big lights from Aperture, and while the quality is amazing, in many ways, they're just simply overkill for a setup like this. So I wanted to try a more simplified approach by using some lights from Amaran. These are much more compact and lower profile, and helps that they're more affordable. This setup is definitely going to change over time, and if you guys want want to see a more detailed breakdown on my A-roll lighting, leave a comment down below. I'm using the Amaran 200X that's bounced into this umbrella modifier as a key source, but if I'm feeling like going for something a bit more natural, I can use the P60C panel and just bounce into this white wall kind of right here off to the corner. This creates a much brighter, more filled look within the room, and it's pretty nice. It's a nice change of pace having a more daylight looking set. When it comes to peripherals, I decided to change a few things up. Last year, I ended up switching everything over to the M1 Max 16-inch MacBook Pro, and man, that's one of the best decisions I've ever made when it comes to computers. I've ditched my Windows desktop altogether. So for the monitor, I decided to go for it and jump up to the Apple Pro Display XDR. I can't be the only one who's wanted one of these things for forever. Yes, I'm well aware it's very expensive, but I am doing more professional color work and post-production work, so having an industry standard display for color critical work definitely is important. For connectivity, I'm using the Razer Thunderbolt 4 dock, and I think the black looks really nice on the desk setup. For the keyboard, I'm using the new Logitech Mechanical Mini. This thing is really impressive. I loved my Logitech MX keys, but coming from a Windows kind of gaming background a little bit, I missed having a mechanical keyboard, so when they released this, it was kind of a no-brainer. For the mouse, I updated to the MX Master 3S. I'm in love with this setup. Not only does it look amazing, but the functionality, how quiet the mouse is, the mechanical keys, truly make sitting at my desk just feel a little more enjoyable. We're using the same speakers, the Audio Engine A2 Pluses. I did switch out to the little metal stands opposed to the original rubber ones. Now, when it comes to cable management under the desk, I pretty much used the same approach with how I did my desk previously. In my mind, do your cable management right the first time, buy the right things once, and you'll never have to think about it again. It was as easy as just sticking everything back in place, bolting the little cable raceway back on, and running all the wiring. It's not perfect underneath. It being a standing desk, everything needs to be incredibly flush in order for it to be not viewable. I could probably tidy it up a little bit more, but this setup works flawlessly. So if you're interested, you can go check out my previous video to see a little bit more detail. When it came to the decor for the space, I wanted to do something a little bit different. Of course, I've kept the hanging lights around for quite some time now, but I wanted to put some art behind me, something more unique. So I figured, I don't know, maybe it'd be fun to commission an artist to create a unique piece for the space. Okay, yeah, not actually. My fiance wanted to try something fun as a little project, and so we got some canvases, then some plaster, and just kind of went to town with creating some designs on it, creating some textures, some patterns, and then finishing it up with a little bit of paint. And no joke, this thing looks like modern art. Altogether, even with a 2-pack of canvases, materials were like 80 bucks or so. Really straightforward, only took us maybe like an hour. Instead of doing the normal hanging bulb, the little pendant light that I've done before, we actually used the fixtures from the living room back in Portland. And I think these, in combination with the art piece, I'm happy with it. It looks modern and contemporary, it's different. Oh wait, figured maybe it's a good time to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Envato. It's no secret at this point, you guys have heard me talk about Envato a lot, but I think one thing a lot of people miss about what Envato is just how many things are combined into a single subscription. Typically, as a content creator, you need a music subscription. Maybe you need stock footage. Well, there's another. Maybe you need titles. Maybe you need motion graphics. Envato combines all of these things into a single subscription. Not only does it have everything I just mentioned, but there's sound effects, there's fonts, there's presentation templates, pretty much every single type of creative asset you could imagine Envato Elements has. It starts at just $16.50 a month, and it has a single universal license that covers you for everything, whether it's just personal YouTube videos or paid commercial client work that's airing on television. This, in my mind, is an absolute game changer to anyone looking to save a little bit of money and help grow their creative business. I use Envato in basically every single project I work on, And man, if I had this when I first got started in content creation, in filmmaking, life would be so much simpler, and you get to save a little money by having less subscriptions. So if you guys are interested, be sure to click the link down below. It really does help support me. Of course, Envato is supporting this video, supporting the channel, so thank you, Envato. We picked up this really amazing little boucle barrel chair from All Modern. This is actually really cozy. And again, I wanted to have a place for my fiance or friends to come and sit. We have this small little side table from CB2, a couple of decorative books on the side, positioned just here in the corner. This little corner alone truly makes this whole space feel so much more inviting and kind of ties it all together. It makes it feel less of just like an office and more of a, oh, like I wanna come sit in here and chill and work and sip some coffee. When it comes to gear organization, I was so happy that this space came with these really nice wardrobe closets opposed to just a standard sliding door closet. Inside of each of these closets, there's removable shelving, and so I was able to get everything nicely organized in here. Again, stripping out the excess unnecessary gear, putting it away in our storage unit. But on the left, we have all of my grip and support accessories, tripods. I also have my hard cases. I find that I'm traveling a lot more frequently, so a lot of gear actually just stays in these hard cases, to be honest. In the middle, we have my cameras, my lenses, backpacks hanging up overhead. I'm using those little silver hooks that I previously used on the metal shelving in my old closet, and these work great for hanging up my light stands and tripods and backpacks. I'm using the same white storage bins from IKEA, which work amazing. They're really clean and really cheap. They come in a bunch of different sizes as well. Having all of these cabinets separated and having shelving built in, it does take away from the total amount of space that could be here, but it forces me to be a bit more mindful with what I'm putting in here and keeping it more organized, which is the theme of this entire space. The far right closet, I put this little metal black shelf in to get a little more storage. There's some extra lighting, some grip accessories, electric accessories. I have all of my hard drives in storage in the middle. And then we have these 3 drawers where I have more camera accessories like rigging components, audio gear. In the middle, I have my battery and charging drawer, which I just ran a power cord, tucked it in through the bottom of the shelving unit and up into this drawer and put in a little power strip, and I can charge all of my batteries here. Underneath the batteries, I have a little rubber foam mat just to keep anything from sliding around. Makes it look really nice and clean too. And then on the bottom drawer, I just have more miscellaneous accessories. These are probably my least organized bins, kind of the shame of the office, so just ignore these. On the adjacent wall, on the one right in front of me here, decided to hang up some of my old prints. These were actually the ones in the living room hallway in our old apartment. I'll probably change these out, print something new at some point, but I still really like these photos and kind of just adds a little bit more character to the space. So here we are. We've now been in Los Angeles for coming up on 2 months now. It's kind of why I wasn't posting super frequently, but I'm really proud of how the space has come out. And I gotta say, it's easily my favorite office and studio space that I've had to date. It's calming, it's relaxing, it's somewhere that I look forward to spending time in. My fiance likes to actually sit with me while I work now, which is definitely a win. Taking the time to really think through your workflow and all of the necessities, or maybe the things that are fluff and unnecessary and potentially cluttering your brain and making it more difficult to concentrate or feel motivated. It's so important, especially if you're somebody who mostly works from home and your job is to be creative, is to be inspired by the things around you. It still doesn't feel quite real being in this place, but I couldn't be more excited to share this new chapter of my life and career with you guys and watch these new stories unfold.